It's the big boys time. Yes, it's the institutional cycle. Tom Lee comes out of a brand new interview and explains why we should forget about the 4-year cycle or whatever cycle it is. Here we go, and let's dive in.
Welcome to the game, I'm the wolf of Dubai.
So welcome to a brand new video, and as usual, here on the biggest Bitmine show in the whole world, okay? So I believe that we never maybe met because 30% of all viewers never met me before. So I'm an early investor in Bitmine, like you can see, but I also was early investor into Tesla, Nvidia, Robinhood, as well as Palantir, and my subscribers bought houses or apartments. So you should maybe subscribe to this free content here because everything I do here is totally for free. And we are working hard, okay? All the money that I invest into these channels is totally free for you. And if you like that, make sure to subscribe to all of my channels and to X as well. And make sure to smash the like button, okay? If you pulverize the like button, that helps you. And this is a small thank you for all the content that you're getting here for free. Now, we also have our private day trading group where we send you all the trades all automatically. This is how the software looks like. We want to achieve between like 8 to 15% grow in your portfolio. If you have, let's say, 100% of your investments, I always say like put 80% long term, but also benefit from the short term. And if you can go to an expert like us, a whole team of professional day traders that select the day trades that go into your portfolio, then check it out and make sure to schedule a call on xtendaytrading.com. Now, Tom Lee is coming out every few days with a little bit of new content, right? So now he gave an interview for the people of Bmnr, right? So, and there was the interview, and let's have a look into the clip, what he actually said and what is now important to understand.
And now moving over into crypto and some of the work that you're doing at Bitmine. People do call you the Michael Saylor of Ethereum. Now, you said that ETH is one of the biggest trades of the next decade. Now, looking at where the markets are behaving today, I'm curious to hear from you, Tom. What makes you so confident rather than dial that view back?
Well, crypto's been disappointing the last few months because prices are down a lot. And when prices are down, first of all, we know the mood turns really dark. People get second guessed, especially because price is so important as a signal in crypto. And now people are really worried that this is the start of the 4-year cycle of the downturn, which might last a year. So that's at the back of people's minds. But I would say people should be wary that price isn't always signal, because there's times when there's fundamental developments that are really building. And I see this in equity markets all the time, while price remains skeptical. I think we're in one of those moments because Bitcoin has become an institutional asset. So that's very different than the last 10 years. Well, really 15 years for Bitcoin. It's for the first time has a different buyer. And the US government just about to finalize the Clarity Act and some action regarding the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. That's a brand new buyer. And on Ethereum specifically, there is a huge runway coming because of stable coins, which is a tokenization of a dollar. But it's just the start, because we know that BlackRock and Robinhood and everyone else wants to tokenize everything on the blockchain. That's a big unlock of activity, which is going to happen regardless of whether prices of Ethereum and Bitcoin aren't going straight up, because these are innovations in financial products. So I'm in the camp that we have not really seen the peak associated with a 4-year cycle. In fact, in some ways, because of muted monetary liquidity and all the suppressed animal spirits, the market's been super concentrated this year. I think that the best prices are going to be seen next year for both Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Have we officially waved goodbye to the 4-year cycle? You've mentioned the fact that we are going to see different buyers because we have seen institutions enter into the race. Have we waved goodbye to the typical cyclical movements that we have known crypto to be standing for?
It's a good question. And the way this is ultimately proven is that Bitcoin makes a new high before end of January, which I believe will happen. But we did talk about that in the most recent Bitmine chairman's message from November, that we looked at things that could explain the 4-year cycle of Bitcoin. In the past, what peaked that explained why Bitcoin was following that cycle? The two things that really explain Bitcoin's price peaks that were not time related, like not just saying the clock, was the copper versus gold price ratio. That makes sense because it's industrial activity versus monetary base. That has always peaked in coincidence with the past peaks of Bitcoin price. But copper to gold has actually been at a low right now, meaning we actually haven't seen copper gold peak. Why is that? I think part of it has to do with stablecoins buying so much gold this year. They are the single biggest buyer of gold. They've driven gold to an all-time high. And that means there's a huge move coming in copper. The second is, then that will mark the Bitcoin peak. The second is the ISM. ISM has always peaked in coincidence with the Bitcoin price peaks in the past. But as I mentioned earlier, ISM has now been below 50 for almost 40 months, the longest stretch in history. Until the business cycle and industrial cycle peak, I don't think Bitcoin's going to peak in price.
Now, as you can see, he's usually saying always the same. There's a couple of kind of characteristics of what he always says. Okay, he says like Ethereum is in a super cycle, Ethereum will grow. He believes the Ethereum price at the end of the year / in the beginning of the new year in January should be between like $7,000 to $9,000. Maybe it's true the next week will be absolutely phenomenal because we have the Fusaka update, we have the beginning of December, which is usually very bullish. We have the 10th of December, the Fed increase of overall attention to rate cuts. You know, we have so many things. But he now also says that we are in an institutional cycle. And I totally agree. You remember, like so many big names are actually settling into buying Bitcoin early at like 50 levels, right? You saw all of the announcements on the SEC that big companies actually bought around like 50s, a lot of stocks, hundreds, millions of dollars of Bitcoin shares at around like 50, 55, right? So, and I think that what is very important to understand is that this is always a fantastic time and see because you see a lot of stability coming into the market, into Bitcoin, okay? You see the smart money, the big guys, they're actually helping to let the stock be at a certain level, right? You have the purchase power of this hundreds of millions of dollars, and this is very unique to Bitcoin. And this is exactly how Tom Lee engineered it because he said like, we want to sell our new shares all to institutions because that gives us a great fundament to grow. And also they will be always taking new shares so we can raise a lot of money while Ethereum is still around between like 3,000 to 5,000 because at the end of the, couple of next years, we should have maybe Ethereum at $30,000, right? So that is essentially the whole idea. Now it's the time to sell the shares to dilute and actually get a lot of funds to buy more Ethereum for the cheap, okay? So this is already done in process. We have already 3% of the Ethereum network, okay? Now, it's important to understand but that this step of the institutions is giving you this huge opportunity not only to be exactly at the same table like people from JP Morgan or ARK Invest or BlackRock, but you also need to understand that this is a huge leap of trust by the most smartest money on Wall Street, okay? And they will do everything. They have hundreds of people doing due diligence. They can speak with Tom Lee and sit down with him and understand what he has planned. And, maybe also information that we never will know, but I think that this is a huge sign. And that's why big boys are getting into Bitcoin, okay? So this is very, very strong and institutional cycle, okay? So if you like that, make sure to subscribe and check out xndaytrading.com, and I see you tomorrow for a brand new week. It's maybe the most important week for Bitcoin. And remember, the grass is greener always on the other side.